first of all, so what did Mrs. T talk about? She did
Perashat
Parashat.
Huqat.
She did Parashat Huqat. Okay, very
We
nice.
can do it all.
It was
So
heavy.
we're doing
lot
a
to cover.
we're doing a lot to cover. Yes.
And
Okay.
Huqat is very heavy.
Huqat is very heavy. Did she talk about Moshe Rabbeinu and Moshe Rabbeinu's sin?
Yes.
No.
She said
Okay.
it was out of Greek. You want to
And
Okay,
also
nice.
out of Midian and
So-
Aharon and what they taught Bnei Israel.
Very
and how
nice.
take- Of course.
Nice
take a
guy.
lesson in independence.
Okay, so we're gonna start with. So I'm gonna give my version. So first of all, welcome everybody, and so this week we have a double parasha, Parashat Huqat and Balak. So we really were encountered with one of the most difficult passages in all of the Torah, and that's how Moshe Rabbeinu was not allowed into Eretz Yisrael. So what we need to do is we need to understand how come the severity of the punishment was at that level. So first, let's do a very brief go around of all of the mefarshim that and the different reasons as to why the Chachamim give this. So the classic example is Rashi. The classic reason is Rashi. What does Rashi say? Rashi says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, Moshe, speak to the rock, and what happens? Moshe Rabbeinu hits the rock. Okay. If we look at Ramban says something different. Ramban says that no, the reason is because if you look, how many times did Moshe Rabbeinu hit the rock? He hit the rock twice. He hit the rock 2 times. 1 time would be acceptable, as we've seen. Moshe Rabbeinu tried to get water out of the rock the first time, actually, really the second time, the second tragedy of water, we'll call it, when he actually did hit the rock. And then thirdly, we see the Rambam. What does the Rambam famously say? Rambam says that the reason why Moshe Rabbeinu was punished was because of anger. What does he say? He says, Shim'una Hamorim. Listen, O wayward people. Listen to me, you rebels. The rebels are you rebellious people. The fact that it's a rebellious people was inappropriate. Moshe Rabbeinu should not have said Shim'una Hamorim. Now, just let's digress with the Rambam a little bit. Why is that so bad? Right? They were actually being rebellious. It was negative. It was the wrong thing to do. And Moshe Rabbeinu, this is already in 38 years after they left Mitzrayim, and after the story of the Meraglim, it's in close to the last year, and they should have known. Should have known better. We see that Rambam is a very deep teaching. He says that really Moshe Rabbeinu was supposed to be the role model for all of mankind, and especially for Bnei Israel. If Moshe Rabbeinu was allowed to get angry and there were no punishments, then there was no punishment, then it would be a lesson for all of us for all time to say that we're allowed to get angry. And anger, as the Rambam says, the Rambam is so against anger, where he says that it's one of the worst traits that a person could have. They have to distance themselves from anger as much as possible. Okay? So when we look at that, we see that those are the 3 answers. I want to share with you another answer of Abarbanel. Abarbanel comes and says that no, the reason for Moshe Rabbeinu's punishment was because of a weak type of leadership. The weakened type of leadership is that Moshe Rabbeinu should have been able to convince the people and convince himself that talking to the rock was going to be enough. Where, yes, it does have a little bit of Rashi in it. The point is that Moshe Rabbeinu, now, according to Abarbanel, the entire purpose of Me'meriva was for Moshe Rabbeinu to assert his leadership on Bnei Israel. If he was able to follow Moshe Rabbeinu, Hashem's exact will, then what we would see was that everybody would say, hey, you know what? This is what Moshe Rabbeinu is a true leader. Instead, what do we see? Moshe, he does something very odd. He retreats back into his crying state, quote unquote, to cry out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's almost the opposite of the Rambam. Why didn't he go further? He should have gone harder. It wasn't enough that he actually said, Shimuna Hamorim. Shimuna Hamorim, listen to you, O wayward people. But then the people say, no, go back, cry out. And then he goes back and he cries out to Hashem, saying, wait a second, you had it. It's almost as if picture a teacher that's struggling with classroom discipline. Right? What happens? A person, if the teacher is tough, and they don't back down, what does the class usually see? All right, we're not getting anywhere with this person. We're going to stop, and we're going to have to think of another plan. But if the teacher, it goes at you hard, and then you know what, backs up, oh, where's the principal? I need help. Where is so then what happens? He's like, oh, I got him. I got this person. It's going to be easy for us to crack him. See, he buckled under the pressure. Similarly, that's what Abarbanel says. It's not that about hitting the rock, talking to the rock. It's not that Shimuna Hamorim was that it was inappropriate to get angry. What Abarbanel says is that no, that Moshe Rabbeinu should have gotten even angrier. He should have said and been stronger with them and said, this is wildly inappropriate, and don't worry, we will do this. And he should have chastised the people even more. So that's four very, 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 different interpretations. But nonetheless, we see that this was Moshe Rabbeinu sort of on trial as to what he would be as a leader and who he would be as a leader. What's the lesson and what's the takeaway from us? So I think that, as we said, with each and every explanation has a different takeaway. But I want to share with you another takeaway that I recently saw. Outside of all of these having to do with, all of these three having to do with, let's say, character traits of Moshe Rabbeinu and etc. Hi, Ati, how you doing? Long time no see. Haven, kavod, welcome. We got the Zoom, so we're talking about Moshe Rabbeinu's sin. So outside of the interpretation of Rashi, outside of the interpretation of Rambam, Abarbanel, there's another concept that we can also glean from this. How did Bnei Israel get water all those years in the desert? How? Do we know how? Meaning, if you look at it, the complaints for water make a lot of sense. There were 3 times when there were complaints for water. Number 1 was 3 days after they leave Egypt. Makes sense, right? You're traveling in the desert. How much water do you take? Some, not a ton. Take it, and now what happens? You run out. Now, where am I getting water from? So that's point number 1. After they finally get water, right? It happens a short time after that. They run out, right? It's also a few days, few weeks, and they run out of water. And now what happens? That's when he hits the rock the first time. After that, we don't see any shortage of water. Till when? Till the final year in the Midbar. 38 years later. So where was the water? Here the Midrash fills in the gaps and says, if you see there's one Torah personality that is always there when it comes to water. And who is that? It's Miriam. Miriam is always there. Now, how is she always there? She's always there because as Bnei Israel leaves Egypt, who is the one that is clapping and getting the women together? And it says, and here comes Miriam. She's there with the water. At the second moment, right? It's after Moshe Rabbeinu hits the rock, right? We see that now this becomes what? As the Midrash fills us in and tells us, that's Be'er Miriam. That's what they took with them the entire time. And right before this third tragic episode happens, who dies? Miriam. Miriam is gone. So what's the connection between? So obviously, when Miriam was there, there was water. When Miriam is not there, there's no water. So how do we connect the two? First of all, let's look at the shortish of the words. What is Miriam? What are the letters that spell Miriam? Mem, Resh, Yod, Mem. If I vocalize it as Miriam, it's a name. How else can I vocalize it? Marim. Right? Mem, Resh, Yod, Mem, Marim. Marim means bitterness. What was the first episode of water? Mayim hamarim, the bitter, right? Mara, the bitter waters. After that, when Moshe Rabbeinu lifted up his staff and was ready to hit the staff, what is it? Right? Vayarim, right? Vayarom, right? Where it says Vayarim, right? What does it mean? At Masal Meriva. Good. That's going to be the next time that we're going to see. Masal Meriva. But where do you see Miriam there? Close, Kai. You're right. Right? Shimuna Hamorim, the rebels. Shimuna Hamorim, Mem Resh Yod Mem also. Different vocalization, but it's Marim. Right? Shimuna, sorry, that's Morim. That's rebels. When it comes to the second one, it's Leharim. Merim is lifting up the staff. So you see in all three water stories, the shortish of Miriam's name is there with different vocalization, showing you that there was a different type of sin. Fortune, you good? You liking it? You understand? Good. Very nice. Okay. Where'd Sylvia go? Tell it. There you go. Good. Sylvia's still there. Okay. Valerie, you with us? All right. Good. She's there too. Okay. We're checking on everybody. Okay. So nice. Thank you, Valerie. So we see that this is Miriam is all throughout and all connected with water and connected to Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay, so but why water? Why water? So if we look at this, what do we see? We see that this is a continuation of Moshe Rabbeinu's original first contact that the Torah tells us with his sister. When Moshe is a little tiny baby in a teva and is placed where? Where is he placed? In the water. Who is watching him? Miriam. Miriam is watching and waiting and seeing to see what's going to happen. Now she waits. She's watching this baby travel down the river. I don't know about you, but if I was a sibling of this little tiny baby and watching it go down the river, I would like jump in right away and say like, "Oh, I saved it." Like, well, how long do you think you could watch this baby travel? But she was watching and waiting and waiting, and now all of a sudden you see, oh my gosh, it's going to the palace. Here comes who? Here comes Bat Paro. Here they come. Like you said, oh my God, it's going to the palace. What do you think is going to happen? They're going to kill him. They're going to kill the baby. She still waits. And finally, she waits till the last second. She says, you know what? There could still be salvation here. And what happens? She sees that it's Batya that now extends her hand and brings it in. Only then does she act, and what does she do? She comes and she says, no, I'm here. You know, I know a meneket. I know someone that's able to help you. And we're able to do all of those things. All right, then the story takes off. This is a tremendous lesson. One of the lessons, that you could say, is that Miriam, when she passes away, the ability, Emil, thank you. What's up, Emil? Right? He's the ability of Bnei Israel to get water left. Why? Because Miriam had the character trait of faith in Hakadosh Baruch Hu, unwavering faith. She was going to wait. She looks at the scenario of the baby going down, Moshe going down the Nile River, and she says, I don't know how this is going to play out. I don't know how this is going to happen. But I know that what? There will be salvation. I know that Hashem is going to come to my rescue. The same thing happens with the rest of the story, getting to Moshe, and now finally this third water story. What happens? Now, if you look, Miriam dies, so the rock that you would assume from year 2 all the way through to year 40 in the desert, what are they doing? They have this rock that's of Miriam that's giving forth water. Now the rock stops. Now what happens? The people, you would say, okay, maybe if the people like would pray the entire time, what would happen? They would get the water. Are they doing that? No, they're coming after Moshe. So now Moshe looks at Hashem and says, it's hopeless. The two different methods that I know that I'm able to get, that we're able to get water, what happened to them? They're gone. So, but there's a third trait that Moshe Rabbeinu said, there's another way to get water, Moshe. What is it? Just wait, sit, and do nothing. Don't hit the rock like you did last time. What do you have to do? You have to be like Miriam. What's Miriam's character trait? I sit, I wait, I have faith in Hashem. I will act, but I'll only act when I think it's absolutely necessary. And then what does Moshe do? He fails. He acts. And then that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, "Leman lo ha'emantem bi." The reason is because you did not believe in me. What didn't they believe? Didn't Moshe say, "I knew it was going to be. I'd hit the rock before. I knew that you were going to give forth the water. I took matters into my own hands." That's the problem. The second he tried to take matters into his own hands, he was no longer like Miriam. He was no longer being able to take that step back and understand that it was time to have faith in Hashem. Now, we may not blame him because I think we if Moshe Rabbeinu would have failed in the situation, we would have done it too. But Moshe is always held to that elevated standard. It's always Moshe Rabbeinu was always held to the highest of levels, as it's trying to give us a lesson. When we have that lesson, we're able to finally understand it. We're able to understand possibly why Moshe Rabbeinu was not granted access into Eretz Yisrael, and we finally can understand that there's a lot more than meets the eye here than just hitting of a rock versus speaking to a rock. Let's take some questions and some points. Does anybody have a question? Anybody have a question? Anything that they want to say? I'm looking at the Zoom participants first. Okay, anybody raising their virtual hand? Anybody? No. Okay, looks good. Okay. Anybody in the audience? Anybody? Thought, comment? Come on, Kish, don't disappoint. No? Anything or no? It's okay, you don't have to. The next topic you're gonna love, because what am I talking about, Esther? The donkey. Bilam and the donkey. This is the best one. What? Do you remember the first time I taught you this story? Yeah, it was in the summer. It was like 4 summers ago, or 5 summers ago.
You
And
never
she,
heard it in your life?
no, she hadn't heard of it, and she stayed back to like just complain to me about like
How
this
messed
is
up it was.
yeah. Exactly. It's like, this is not in the Torah, Rabbi. This is not in the Torah.
I knew the story since I was like 5.
Nice, like a way to roast Esther indirectly. Huh? Sometimes you learn it. You learn it. Okay, we're ready. So that's Devar Torah number 1. You guys can share it on the table. Let's go to right. You can share it on the table, Esther?
This is my table.
This is your table. You got to share it on the table. Allison, you got to help her. Share it on the table. Share it on the table. Okay, here we go. So now Devar Torah number 2. Okay, we see the episode of Bil'am, who is a prophet that is contracted by Balak, and Balak, the king of Moab, to try and thwart the fate of his nation based on what he's seen happen to other nations. Let's list the nations that right before Balak sees what's happening that went down by Bnei Israel. Number 1 is Amalek. Right? Amalek gets destroyed. That's it. We don't see them. Edom, right? We don't see Edom, and also they get wiped out, and we also see Sihon. So 3 large nations get wiped out by Bnei Israel. So now, what does Moab think? I'm next, right? So what do we got to do? I need to pull out all the stops. He hires Bil'am to go and curse Bnei Israel. Bil'am knows, he says, look, unless Hashem wants me to curse Bnei Israel, this is not going to work. So what does he do? He says, I'm not going to go. They come and they offer more money and riches and gold. And then he asks Hashem, so Hashem, can I go? Like, now, it's worth it. And then Hashem says, only go if you want to go. And he goes. We'll come back to that later. On the way, he's riding a she-donkey, right? And the donkey sees the angel of God. The angel of God is blocking its path and doesn't move. Bil'am doesn't see it and is hitting the donkey till finally the donkey turns around and talks to him and says, what did I ever do to you? I'm your loyal steed. This is what you, and he's answering the donkey back. Finally, till after the Hashem sees, okay, this guy's a failure and we've embarrassed him enough. What do we see? We see that now the angel is revealed in front of him, in front of Hashem. Okay. Let's just make sure this is not anybody trying to sign in. No.
Wait, could you explain last I heard we're in the desert? How did that, like the change in setting?
The change in venue.
Yeah, we were just in the midbar.
Right. So now, in the midbar, we're doing a few things. We're traveling.
Yeah.
Amalek attacks.
Yeah.
We destroy Amalek. We ask to go through a couple of people's land, Sihon, all right, whatever. They say no, so we have to fight them.
Okay.
Moab is next on the list, and now, so this is behind the scenes of what's happening in Moab. And Bnei Israel are just chilling, right? But the Hashem is telling us what's happening through the Torah. Good? Okay, good. Eti, we're good? Awesome. Okay.
They're in Eretz Israel? Wow.
No. Not Eretz Israel. In the desert.
In the desert?
This is still in the
in the desert.
No, meaning while we're journeying, there are lands that are around.
Yes. This is before Moshe? No.
This is
Before or after Moshe?
before Moshe died. Moshe is alive. He was, yeah. So he was told, and he still keeps begging, but still, we got to bring the people back. Got to bring the people in. Good, you guys are good?
Mm-hmm.
Fortune, you with me? Okay, good. So now what happens? Now, we have a couple of problems with the story. Esther, what's your biggest problem with the story?
My biggest?
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
that Hashem says you could go if you want, and then it's mad at him for going. He's talking to a donkey.
Right.
There's an angel. Like the whole story is ridiculous.
You
It's like Greek mythology.
still
I don't
uses
know.
it. She still uses it. All right. Fortune, what do you say that Esther Kishka saying the story is ridiculous in the Torah? You want to yell it?
I mean, it's in there for a reason, no?
Of course.
It's
Of
not-
course.
I mean, even though this is not a
talking donkey.
even though it's not a prophecy, I still have the word stuck in my mind. Nevuah shehu tircha l'dorah, nechteva v'shelah, whatever the rest of the sentence is. There has to be a reason for why it's written. There's nothing extra in the Torah. I don't know
100%.
why.
I agree with you. We're going to find out. What does Sylvia think?
It's a little complicated. There's a talking donkey. And it's like Shrek or something. And who is
Shrek.
who is legit Shrek? Who is Balak? I always
Balak is the king of
I'm
Moab.
saying, who is he to go curse other people? Like, he doesn't have any powers. Why are they going to him and saying, go curse
So
people?
Bilam does have power. Bilam has a lot of power. Bilam,
How is the Navi? Sorry, I
yeah,
always get.
Gemara says that he was on the level of Moshe Rabbeinu in terms of prophecy.
Oh, wow.
Why?
Please don't complain.
Really? The
Excellent.
level of Moshe? Is that
Level
exaggerated?
of Moshe. It's a level of Moshe.
Is that exaggerated, though?
Let's hear Carol. Carol,
He
what'd
could
you
have been even higher, but instead he wasted his potential.
say? 100%. He definitely did waste his
And, like,
potential.
he has this whole downfall through the whole story.
Right. 100%. Let's go through what that downfall is. And we'll see, just like we had different opinions as to what was the problem with Moshe's reaction, let's go through what was the issue with the donkey. So number one is, let's talk about the proposal of Bilam that he gets from Balak. If you don't want to go to somewhere, you just don't have to go. And if they threaten you with your life, okay, that's another thing. But once they offer you the riches, he decides to go. Now, who is the one that offers the riches in the first place? So if you look at the pasuk, it's very interesting. First, Bilam says, if you socially distanced sneeze, if you offer me all the riches, even
Bless you, Rabbi.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sonia. Right. So if you are offered all of the riches if this whole house was filled with gold and silver, I wouldn't go. What is he really saying? He's naming his price. It's almost like he's saying it with a wink in his eye. It's like he's saying, what? Even if you gave me, like something like $4 million, I'm not even going to go. So what does he naturally do? He says, oh, I gotcha. Wink, wink, wink. I got to offer you, this is a money thing. I got to offer you some more money. So he offers the more money. And then, of course, who bites? Bilam bites. So the number one reason that why we say like, oh, you could say that this whole story is a little bit, he's a prophet and all of a sudden like Hashem's picking on him. No, the fact that he was willing to sell out, a Navi was willing to sell out for money, it's the capital punishment, capital sin that a Navi can do. What does it say? Right, you were quoting the not this pasuk, fortune before. He says, "Lo tikach shochad ki ashochad yaver pikchim v'salef divrei sadikim." He says the number one thing that a person cannot, who's in a leadership position, cannot accept is what? Shochad. What's shochad?
SGO.
Bribes. SGO is shochad? No. Right, but yes, I got you.
A bribe.
Yes, a bribe. I got you. Thank you, Sylvia. Right, to go.
No, we were just saying we always talk about SGO and we're like, you can't take a bribe.
You can't take a bribe, right? Once you're elected, you can bribe to maybe get elected. No, but I'm telling you, you're right. Don't take a bribe because the shohad, this does what? It blinds even the biggest tzaddik. So we see that what's Bilam doing? He's being knocked down from his highest peg of a Navi that's on the level of Moshe. And what's happening? He now is a sellout. He's a sellout of the highest order. The fact that he takes money, now he loses his nevuah and he's not able to see the angel. Not only is he not only able to see the angel, what happens? Hashem, why is he coming to him and speaking through the donkey? It's embarrassing. It's probably the most embarrassing thing to have, that the donkey, this animal, can see the malach, and who can't? You. So it's a method that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is using to shame Bil'am based on how low he sank. Okay, good. So one interpretation is, what was the sin of Bil'am? Why is this story here? To show you the contrast in leadership. It's to show you that you're never allowed to take a bribe, no matter what type of level you're on. And even if a person does take a bribe, he has to understand if he's in a leadership position, what's going to happen? His status is going to do what?
Decline.
Go way down. Okay, that's one. Any questions on that one?
Yeah, assuming his status went down and he couldn't see the angel, why do we care that he's cursing him out?
Because at the end of the day, he fails. He fails, and he has to bless him. He actually does realize that he's not as powerful as he thought. And that the fact that even if he did want to curse Bnei Israel, the fact that Hashem puts blessings in his mouth is even more humbling. Imagine trying to say something and it not coming out, and Hashem controlling you. And you thinking that you're all powerful, that you're an amazing Navi, and it just doesn't happen. Good? Okay. What do I want to share? I want to share a second angle. This is the angle of the Rambam. Now, the angle of the Rambam, Sylvia and Esther, you're going to like, right? I don't know who else is going to like it, but the Rambam in Moreh Nevuchim says this entire story happens in a dream-like state to the prophet. Meaning, this is in a prophecy to Bil'am. And why? Because of like the fantastic nature of the story, that Rambam says, like many other stories in the Torah, we can say that this is, if it happens in a nevuah, it can solve a lot of the issues that you have. How is a real live donkey talking? How is it that Bil'am is on this level and he doesn't see the angel? He's still a prophet. So if he can't see the angel, but he's still able to curse, and Hashem is using him for the blessing. I went through that fast. Let's go through it. Let's slow that one down. If we say that Bil'am is on such a low level that now what happens is donkey is talking to him as a punishment, and he can't see the angel. So how come Hashem is using him, this low-level person, to do what?
Blessing.
To bless Bnei Israel. He's going to have it both ways. So we're going to knock down his status, but also use him to bless Bnei Israel.
Why do we even need a blessing to begin with?
You don't need one. It's the point is that he tried to curse, and it will turn it into a blessing.
Yeah.
Anybody who tries to curse you will be cursed, and anybody who tries to bless you will be blessed. Okay, so meaning that's the deep action of this story. So what does Rambam say? So because of these problems, what does Rambam say? He says, no, this was Hashem came to Bil'am and gave him this dream. Like all of our other prophets, right? From Yirmiyahu, Yeshayahu, Yehezkel, all of those prophecies, what we read about it in the Tanakh, what are we reading? We're reading them recounting all of these stories to us. And it's up to the Navi to now, when he gets the vision, he has to tell us, what does this mean? What does that mean? Now, sometimes the prophet just says the prophecy, and now we're expected to know. Or, right, it's up for interpretation. What does it mean? But it does have a meaning. So what does it mean now? Let's take it with Rambam and see how that now this is considered a prophecy that Bil'am listened to in his dream. Again, in a dream-like state. When we say dream, it makes it sound like it didn't really happen. It happened. A prophecy is a heightened state, higher than a dream. Okay? You hesitated at that, Esther.
He's awake?
He's in a heightened state of awareness. Let's say like when you meditate, right? Have you ever meditated before?
Every
What?
It's
single.
like when you're aware and like you see.
You have attempted and you've fallen asleep?
The thing is, every
Let's
single
hear Karen.
Navi, whenever they receive a nevuah, they receive it in the form of like a dream or a hallucination or like an enhanced state of awareness. But unlike Moshe, who could just receive a nevuah like
100% like we're talking, but I want to not use those negative. Hallucination sounds like the person's making some. Okay, you with me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Is making up something. Okay, that's not making up something. And then a dream sounds like it's outside of reality. The state of a prophecy it's almost like you would look at somebody getting a seizure like this, but Hakadosh Baruch Hu is coming to them in a plane where it's like they're asleep, meaning I would be able to experience it and you're not experiencing. Just like I can't get into your dreams. But it's when you dream at night, like you woke up, you're like, wow, I had a crazy dream. Did that really happen in your life? No, it's like in your life, did you have the dream? Right. So the act didn't happen in the physical world, but you physically dreamt something. Okay. So somewhere in between the actual reality and the dream is nivu'ah. So it's not happening in the physical world, but physically God is coming down to me when I'm in a good mood, when I'm resting, when I'm right. And when the Navi is at peace. What was David HaMelech's number one instrument? What was David HaMelech's number one instrument?
The harp.
Thank you, Karen. Right, good.
I'm just trying to
It was
make
the
it
harp,
say
the
keynote.
keynote.
Yeah, I was just trying to.
You wanted to try to showboat and say it in here.
No,
I'm
yeah.
kidding with you, Karen.
Okay.
Right, keynote, right? So you say, if you ever see David HaMelech Tehillim, you'll see a Tehillim book. And what's the picture that they always put on a Tehillim book? They put a harp. Why? Because the Gemara says that the harp would relax David HaMelech. And he had to be in a good mood. There are a lot of rules before you can get nevu'ah. You have to be in a good mood. You have to be in a sadiq-like state. If you're a sinner, you're not getting navi. You're not getting nevu'ah. So here, what happens? So now Bil'am gets this nevu'ah, and he sees. So now, what does the donkey represent? The donkey represents stubbornness, right? You ever hear that expression, "stubborn like a mule"? So right. So he said. So what's happening? Bil'am, Hashem gave him the nevu'ah to show him you're being stubborn like this donkey, not moving and not listening to you, and will do what to you? Answer you back. What's one of the worst things that a kid could do to a parent, right? They say, don't answer me back. Right? Why don't answer me back? Because I just want to do what I want to do. But in the dream, Bil'am is riding the donkey, but there's great symbolism in that. Bil'am should know better, but what's happening? A stubborn act that he's trying to do is doing what? Is bringing him to a doomed place. And what's the doomed place? The angel that has the sword. If he continues following this stubborn path, what's going to happen to him? He will be what? Destroyed or killed by this angel. So it's a stark warning in Nevu'ah where now if he's gotten prophecy and he's like, oh, now he wakes up, he's like, I had it. I had the dream. It's reality. And then only after that, and this can work with the first interpretation. He did agree to go. He did agree to go for a large sum of money. And because he did that, what does Hashem come to him in? Comes to him in a dream and says, what? Don't you do it.
Does Hashem come into like all of our natural dreams? Like, let's say I
So-
have just a random dream. Is it like Hashem trying to tell us something, or is it not?
So it's a great question. We know in the end of Masechet Berachot and also in Perek Chelek, there are certain dreams that do mean things. Now we have to definitely be on a certain level for those dreams to mean something. We don't want them to dictate our lives. So if there is a bad dream where somebody's really very nervous about it, then we give tzedakah, we try to say extra tehillim, learn extra Torah. But what you would think is a bad dream, the Gemara doesn't necessarily say is a bad dream. Like let's say a person has a dream that they pass away in the dream. That's actually very positive because it shows, the Gemara explains, that you're humble, that you believe that you can die, right?
I had a dream that someone else passed away.
So
and,
now
like,
we have to see,
I saw
like-
them with like pitch black eyes.
Right,
Is there
maybe
dreaming like
too much Star Wars,
Injuries
No.
and
Actually,
Yeah.
that person was actually.
Me, mommy. Okay, there you go. So now you can tell.
It was
Mommy.
very creepy.
Nice.
But like,
Okay.
what does that mean? You're
Have
not a dream
no
interpreter.
I
are
have
you?
no idea. I'm
I
not a
think
dream
it's a dream.
interpreter. But yes,
the
that's
Gemara interprets like symbols.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
you
yes.
can't
What did you say,
read
Esther?
Oh, I forgot. I had like 4. Oh yeah. If he's if he's a prophet, it doesn't make sense that he would take money. Like,
That's the sin.
it doesn't make sense.
But
If he's
why?
connecting to a higher source, like money shouldn't get him. Like
100%. But no, but the
Like,
Yetzer Hara
why?
is super strong.
no.
Yeah.
Money.
Yetzer Hara is very strong. It's very strong, the Yetzer Hara. Shlomo HaMelech was the greatest man of all time. He had 1,000 wives.
I thought
Hashem yelled at him for that.
it was Moshe who's often categorized as greatest man.
No, the wisest man. Shlomo HaMelech was on a pretty high level. We'll say it that way.
Wow.
And he still fell to that Yetzer Hara. He writes about it. Kohelet, Hevel Havalim Kol Havil.
Mhm.
Right? He says that meaning we've seen great men, fall prey to something.
Like
It's
Moshe,
hard to understand. but
Moshe
yeah.
fell to the prey of Bnei Israel's
We could say of
complaints about the
anger,
water.
right? We could say if you're going to the Rambam, you can go with the anger. What's the takeaway just from the Rambam's perspective? Because that's something that you could share on the table. Be careful who you share it. And some people are like, no, it can't be a prophecy. They'll get crazy about it. Rambam and Moreh Nevuchim is very clear that, look, that's one of those items. What the advantage of using the Rambam is because now we understand the message that Hashem is trying to teach you. Sometimes you could think, and exactly what Esther's point is, you can think you're so high as a Navi that you can do whatever you want. You could think it's okay to take the money, it's okay to curse the person. Look, you know what level I'm on? And even despite that, we have to understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a plan. If you run into that, there's going to be trouble. And when a person fails at his mission as a Navi, he's not only held to a higher standard, however, he's also held to the standard of saying, you know what, when I make a mistake, I have to back up. And Bil'am did not back up. So much so to the point where he was ready to go curse, and he tried to see if the curse would work in other vantage points. Maybe this mountain, maybe looking here, maybe looking there. He still doesn't get. The question is, if you were to say, does Bil'am get the point of the nevuah that's sent to him? The answer is still no. And I think the lesson to us is that sometimes when a person wants to do evil, they're just going to do it. It could be whatever. And when a person's going to do good, they're just going to want to do it. The Gemara will close with this. The Gemara in Masechet Makot on Daf Yod says, "B'derech she'adam holech, kach molichin oto."
I just said that out loud to myself. She did.
I scared the heck out of me for
Wow.
it. There you
Sorry.
go.
I got so excited. I just said it out loud. She
Nice, pretty fortune. Rebbitzin, right? So he says, what does it say? In the way that a person wants to go, Hashem will help you down that path.
So not true.
Yes, it is.
So not.
It's true. It's true. Hashem, it doesn't mean it won't be hard. Doesn't mean it won't be difficult. And it doesn't mean that a person won't say, look, I couldn't conquer this test or that test. It could definitely be something. But, and you'll never know. Like, imagine you went down a path and said, look, I really have a goal to get here. But a guy falls a little bit short. If you never had that goal and Hashem never walked you down, where would you be? If you don't reach your goal, you can't kill yourself over it. Set a new goal. Maybe some people think I'm going to reach this goal before I'm married. Maybe that person reaches that goal after they're married. We can't end our life at, what are you guys, like 22? 20, see? Right? At 20, you're like, oh, I didn't achieve my goal. It's done. This is a sketch, right? No, we can't do that. You're going to have plenty of time, and you're going to have new goals, and always try. All right, guys, on that note, Baruch Adonai Olam, amen v'amen. Fortune, we are happy you came.
Very happy.
Me too.
And Sylvia.
Thank you, Sylvia. You're the best.
Thank you.
Valerie, thank you for coming.
No, my love, nice to see you. That's for sure.
I know, so
Missed
nice
you.
to see you too, Valerie. So nice.
Can't wait.
Yeah, we're gonna get some more people for next week, Bezat Hashem.
I'm going
Okay.
to try to come late.
Okay, beautiful. Bye, guys.
Thank
Spread
you.
the word.
Thank you for your for
Take care.
everything. Teaching.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye, honey.